Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are on getting close to the end. We have 3 days left. This is day 3, and then tomorrow's 2, and then the next day is the last day. So I'm going to start today with chapter 25. Well, Logan, your plan worked just like you said, I confessed. It did, didn't it? Logan suddenly became proud of himself. If Benjamin hadn't been brave enough to cross first, it wouldn't have worked, Sumner reminded Logan. Enough about that. Let's do what we came here to do, I urged. Let's find the loot. Where exactly is it supposed to be hidden again? The note said on the lander's roof, down in the ventilation exhaust, hanging by a cord. Logan remembered this one. And there's the ventilation duct, right over there. The vent was this humongous rectangular gray metal thing with a cone-shaped roof to protect it from the weather. It looked like a rocket, ready to blast off. Wait a minute, Sumner said. This roof looks pretty dangerous. Look how it sags in places. You're right, I said. We've got to make sure every step we take is solid first. Logan took the lead as we walked single file, step by step, toward the exhaust duct. Occasionally, he would find a spongy area and step aside until it felt solid once again. We followed suit. Only 2 feet away from the exhaust, Logan stepped and reached for the edge, but as he did, the roof gave way underneath him as if it were made of tissue. Help! Logan gasped as he slipped down through the newly made hole in the roof, clinging to the crumbling edge. We rushed to try to help him, feeling like at any second the whole roof might cave in. All I could think about was Dad's warning about the building falling in on us, but we had to help him. Hold on, we're going to get you out, Sumner assured Logan as he took hold of his hand. Is there anything you can get your foot on to push up from? I made it to the side of the exhaust duct and tested it for stability. It seemed strong. I hooked one arm around the inside edge and leaned as far out as I could to take Logan's other hand and help pull him up. Logan, can you give me your other hand? I can't let go. I'll fall. Logan was scared. Yes, you can, Summer pleaded. I've got a good hold of you with this hand. You have to let go and take Ben's hand. I don't think I can, Logan said. Don't think, just do it, I commanded. For a change, Logan listened and let go. He swung his hand up to meet mine. Each hand gripped the other. Sumner counted to 3 and we pulled like we had never pulled before. Praise God, Logan was the lightest one of us. He came out of the hole and we spread ourselves out around the old metal exhaust and then exhaled. It was several seconds before anyone said anything. Well, that was fun, Logan said, being facetious. Yeah, well, I've about had my fill of fun for one night, Sumner said. Let's look and see if there's anything in that vent and then get off this roof. We stuck our flashlights and then our heads through the gap between the walls of the vent and the cone-shaped roof. We shined our lights all around and turned our heads to where we could see down the shaft. There, a few feet down, was quite obviously what we were looking for. On a bolt that stuck out was a knotted piece of cording. Unfortunately, the knot was all that was left. Time had taken its toll on the cord, and whatever was at the other end must have fallen to the bottom. We started shining our lights down into the middle of the shaft, attempting to penetrate its darkness. It must have gone down to the very first floor. You couldn't see a thing. Hold on a second, Sumner said, shining his light along the edge of the vent. About 15 feet down was a small ledge around the inner perimeter where it looked like a piece of the vents were put together. There, sitting on the ledge, was some kind of cloth bag. There it is, Logan shouted. Yeah, there it is, Sumner said, a tad less enthusiastically. Way down there. Oh, boy, how are we going to get that out? I threw out the question. Someone's going to have to be lowered down with a rope, Logan said. Someone? Who's going to be that someone? Sumner asked. Well, I just got through going down a hole. I think it's someone else's turn. I figured you'd say that, Sumner said. Can you do it, Sumner? I asked, knowing that he weighed quite a bit less than I did. Guess I have to, Sumner reluctantly agreed. Logan pulled the rope from the backpack I was wearing and tied one end around Sumner's waist. The other end we looped over some crossbars that supported the roof. Can you get your whole body into that space? I said, pointing to the gap between the roof and the vent. If I can get my head in, I guess I can get the rest of me in there, Sumner concluded, thrusting his thin frame through the gap while holding on for dear life. We were holding on for dear life as well, cinching the rope up tight, making sure Sumner couldn't fall. Can either of you shine your flashlight down here while we're lowering me into the depths of hell? Sumner asked sarcastically. I'm afraid if we do that, we'll be dropping you into the depths of hell instead of just lowering you, I said. Your flashlight will have to be enough. Sumner let go, and we found that lowering him wasn't actually all that hard. Sumner made it down the 15 feet or so in less than a minute. Have you reached the bag? Logan yelled. I got it, Sumner said. Don't yell. This thing echoes like crazy. Now pull me up. But that was a different story. We couldn't budge him. Both of us together could not move him 1 inch. The problem was we couldn't use our legs to back away from the vent for fear of falling through the roof, and our arms were just not strong enough. Sumner, we have a problem, Logan said. You can't pull me up, Sumner guessed. How'd you know? Logan quipped. It's not funny, Sumner said. You'd better get me up out of here. We're not joking, I said. We can keep you from moving down further, but we can't pull you back up. Do you think you can climb? There's no way. This nylon rope is sick, and I'm sweating like a pig down here. And by the way, the reason I'm not moving further down is that I'm standing on the ledge where the bag was laying. Oh, well, there's got to be a way somehow, I said, trying not to panic. Let me try something, Sumner said. I'm going to try and raise myself up by pressing against the opposite side of the vent. Whenever I say pull, pull with everything you've got, and whatever you do, don't give up any slack. Are you all ready? We're ready, Logan said. Sumner placed one foot at a time up on the wall of the vent, and as he pressed his back into the opposite wall, then he used his hands to help slide himself up a few inches at a time. Pull! Sumner shouted. For a split second, there was a little slack in the rope, and Logan and I pulled with all of our might. Again came the order, pull! As we pulled, Sumner was able to lift himself a few inches at a time toward the surface. This continued for quite some time until finally we saw Sumner's sweaty mop of hair coming to the top. Just a little bit more, I said, straining. A few more times we were able to grab a hold and help him out of the shaft. We all, once again, collapsed along the vent to catch our breath. I thought you said you had your fill of fun for the night, I said, teasing Sumner. We all burst out laughing, half delirious from exhaustion. When we finally regained our composure, Logan was ready to know what was in that bag. We were all ready to know. Sumner sat up and began to untie the old canvas bag. As we crouched on either side of him with our flashlights, the opening was too small for us to see into, so Sumner reached in and pulled out a fistful of silver and brown coins. What are they? I asked, taking one in my hand. Nickels? Logan was puzzled. That's the loot? Just a bunch of nickels? Hold on, these aren't just any nickels, Sumner said. Look, they're buffalo nickels. Buffalo nickels? I questioned, taking one in my hand. What's that? They're nickels that have a buffalo on one side and the head of an Indian on the other. See? Sumner held one close under the light so we could see the images. Those are cool-looking nickels, I said. They must be old. This one's made in 1935, Logan said, holding the nickel under the light. Can you see anything else in the bag? Logan asked. No, I don't see anything else, Sumner said. Let's put them back and get down on this roof. We can look at them all later. And that's the end of chapter 25. Chapter 26. It's someone else's turn to lead us back to the wall, Logan said. Sumner moved in front and led us away from the hole that Logan had fallen in and back the way we came. Then it hit us all at once. We had no plan for getting down. The zip line got us over the landers, but it wasn't going to get us back, and it was a one-way ticket. The line was too steep to zip back to the other side, even with a good push off of the building. Logan, you forgot one thing, Sumner said. How to get down. I can't believe none of us thought about this before. We know a zip line only goes downhill, I said. Sumner asked the question we were hearing a lot of lately. What are we going to do now? Maybe that door over there leads to some stairs down, Logan said, pointing. We shined our flashlights over to a small, square, hut-looking structure on top of the roof. There, where the doorknob should be, was a large padlock. I'm sure it does lead to stairs, but it's obviously locked, and beside that, I don't want to try and walk across that roof again to get to the door, Sumner said. What about the hole Logan added to the roof? Maybe we could get down through there, I suggested. No, thank you, Logan said. I'm not getting anywhere near that hole. After a moment, we all looked to the front of the building, at the Landers neon sign that stuck up above the roof edge. No one wanted to say it. The way I see it, we have two choices. One, we go to the front of the building, wave and scream until we get the policeman's attention, and then they'll get us down and, of course, probably arrest us. Or two, we climb down that sign. More likely than that, we will get the policeman's attention anyway, and they'll help us get down, but at least they maybe won't arrest us, or maybe we can get down without them seeing us. I guess I like the second one, Logan said. Me too. At least there's a chance we can get down without them seeing us. I figured that was the one we would choose, Sumner said. So let's get up to the front. Sumner led us along the wall, which seemed very solid under our feet, up to the front of the Landers. We peered out over the edge to check for the police. The patrol car was gone, and no one was on the street, at least for the moment. Then we looked at the sign. Although it was large and bulky, it looked like there were enough hands and footholds to allow us to climb down on top of the marquee. Once there, it would be smooth sailing. We would just ease ourselves over the edge and simply drop to the ground. Of course, this was easier said than done. Well, who's going first? Logan asked. I think it's your turn, Sumner said. It doesn't look as scary as going across on the zip line, and all we have to do is climb down on the other side of the sign, I said, pointing to the side away from the police station. So no one's coming out of that station and will see us. I think I can do it, Logan said, but tie the rope onto my waist just in case. We threaded the rope through Logan's belt loops, and he was ready to go. We checked one more time to make sure the coast was clear, and Logan climbed onto the wall and grasped the top of the sign. We've got you, Logan, Sumner reassured him. You couldn't fall if you wanted to. Logan eased off the edge and began his descent. We held the rope taut to the point that Logan could hardly move downward. I would say ease up on the rope, but this thing sure is rickety, Logan said. Just keep it tight. Logan continued inching his way down until finally he made it to the top of the marquee. Logan did one of his end zone dances and then quickly hid back behind the protection of the large sign as he freed himself from the nylon rope. I'll go next, I volunteered. Sure you will, Sumner said. Then who's going to hold the rope for me? That's your problem, I laughed and climbed onto the edge of the wall. With the rope secure, I moved out onto the sign and began moving down. It was really shaky, but I made it down the 7 jumbo letters to Logan's side. Sumner looked down from above. Now who's going to keep me from falling? Is there something on the roof you can loop the rope around? I asked. If there is, we can hold the other end from down here. While I unleashed myself, Sumner found an old vent pipe that seemed sturdy and looped the rope around it and tied himself off. Guess this will work, Sumner said. Here goes nothing. Sumner stepped onto the letter A and began coming down, as we held tight to the rope. Logan and I must have loosened the bolts holding the sign to the wall because the sign began swaying back and forth more than ever. We've got you, Sumner, we said as he tried to stop the quivering. But suddenly, before we even knew what was happening, the sign, Sumner along with it, began tilting outward, away from the wall. Help! Sumner yelled as the sign moved in slow motion. Sumner held on for dear life as Logan and I tightened our grip and used every muscle in our bodies to counter the leaning sign. To our thrill and surprise, the sign slowed to a stop, with the top of the sign about 4 feet away from the wall, and Sumner still clinging to the letter A. And that's the end of chapter 26. Chapter 27. Are you okay? Logan asked through gritted teeth as we were still straining with all we had to prevent the sign from moving further. I think so, but what are we going to do? The rope has me pinned. I can't move. Sumner was almost frantic. We can't either, I said, and I don't know how long we can hold on like this. We have to yell for help, Logan said. I guess you're right. Sumner was reluctant, even in this predicament. Help! We began yelling, hoping someone inside the station would hear us. Logan and I kept straining as we held the sign and Sumner in place. No one's coming, I said. We need to yell together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Help! We all said in unison. I counted again and again, and we continued to yell. If only Sumner could climb down, but with us pulling on the rope, he couldn't budge. And Sumner couldn't let go of the sign, or it might come tumbling down on top of us, or worse, bring down the whole marquee with us and it. We yelled even louder. Our hands began to throb as the nylon rope cut into our sweaty palms. Finally, the station door opened. We saw the officer stick his head back in the door and then ran over as fast as he could. What do I need to do? The officer asked. We're having to hold this sign up to keep it from falling, I said. If we let go, it and Sumner are going to come crashing down. You've got to hurry. We can't hold on much longer. Another officer came running out of the building. Go back and call the fire department and get them over here with the ladder truck, now! The officer turned and ran back to the station. We've got to hurry, Logan cried. We're not going to make it. We were giving out, and our arms were now fully extended above our heads. The only thing holding that sign back was our body weight. The sign began to creep over once again. Guys, the sign is moving, Sumner yelled. We struggled to regain our hold on the sign. Suddenly, we heard something buck the curb in front of the theater. The police officer had pulled an all-terrain vehicle underneath the marquee, and in a few seconds he was on top with us. All right, boys, let me see if I can take over from here. The officer grabbed the piece of rope above us and wrangled it around his hands. In a couple more seconds, the officer was on top of the marquee as well, ready to help. Let's get you boys down off of here, he said. I think you can let go of the rope now. We tried releasing the rope, but our hands would hardly obey. Only after several attempts did our fingers unhinge and allow the rope to unwind from our hands. Relief at last. The officer helped us down off of the roof and onto the truck, and we hopped down to the glorious ground. It would have felt even better if Sumner was on the ground with us. The officers were able to hold the sign firm, but Sumner still could not move with the rope tied around his waist and the officers pulling on it. The officers assured Sumner that the fire truck was coming, that he would be down real soon. In another minute, the truck arrived. After moving the police vehicle out of the way, the firemen were able to maneuver the ladder so that it pushed the sign back up against the wall. Sumner could finally climb down. The officers helped Sumner down to the marquee and then to the sidewalk. He made it. Though we had never hugged before, we did then. That's the end of chapter 27. It sounds like these boys may be in some pretty big trouble. Come back tomorrow to find out.